Hi folks, I'm back with another video, and this time it's about RetroShare, which is a peer-to-peer social network. I'll put a link in the top right here of the screen as well, so that you can just jump to some of my other videos where I've covered other alternative social networks, including other peer-to-peer social networks. But today's video is about RetroShare, and RetroShare, we can just say in summary, really is an open source peer-to-peer social network, or a friend-to-friend network as they call it. So there are no central servers or any corporation or big tech company managing it, and there are no costs to host it anywhere or to manage it either. It's really relying on your machine connecting with other machines, and in that way communicating, sharing files, doing whatever it needs to do. This means, of course, that no adverts, no collection of data, no need to pay for expensive hostings and so on. You can connect to other friends, which will be termed as nodes, and each manages their own node. You won't see anything at first when you connect up. So you need keys to connect, and you get these by exchanging your RetroShare certificate with others. This also means that it exists on its own and it's not connected to the Fediverse or Twitter or any other social network. So the key thing really with RetroShare or any other peer-to-peer is making sure that you get connected to friends or other peers. Otherwise, it's you on your own, you're not going to see anything. So I think let's just show that before we go any further. There is this link over here, https retroshare.ch/invite. Now this is where, when you're inside RetroShare, you can copy your RetroShare certificate, you'd paste it over here on the screen and submit it. And I'll show you on the other side within RetroShare how others would actually receive that key and be able to connect up with you. Look, the best option always is going to be connecting with friends that you've got or you know. That's going to be the safest and the best way to do it, really. But if you don't know anybody, this is one way of getting going. I have already shown here the main website. There's quite a few frequently asked questions, wikis and downloads and other things that you can find on the website, so it is worth looking at. Another thing just to note is there's no email or ID that's needed to set yourself up, and you can choose any name whatsoever you want to. So from that perspective, you are obscured to a certain extent and not identified, or you can identify yourself if you want to. But your IP address can be exposed to your immediate friend nodes. But there are options also within RetroShare when you configure and set up that you can configure it to use the Tor network or to use Invisible Internet Protocol, I2P, to set up. Links between the nodes are authenticated using strong asymmetric keys in PGP format and encrypted using perfect forward secrecy, the OpenSSL implementation of TLS. So data again in transit is quite secure. It does have GXS keys to create substitute keys to your main node ID, and you can use these to create pseudonyms to make use of within chats or forums or other things as well. So there's quite a bit you can play around with and experiment with. It does need, though, an open port on your router, but if you have a friend enabled already or connected to, you can relay through them instead. So these are little settings you might have to play around with, getting the connection going. Otherwise, you may find it a bit difficult to connect to people. I should also say that it's a stat junkie's delight. I'll show you when we get into the software all the sort of information that you can see. And before I go any further, just to mention also, I will have chapter links below the video so that you can jump to different parts of the video if you want to. And I think before we get on to just the main interface to show you what it looks like, let's just jump into some of the functionalities and what you can actually do with it. I am busy, although the stable version at the moment is version 0.6.5, most people are busy already testing out version 0.6.6. So I'm basing what you're seeing here and what I'm talking about is going to be mainly on version 0.6.6. And I'd strongly encourage you to get that version if you're going to install and get going, because the certificates are shorter and there's a couple of things that work a little bit better and nicer in this version. So these are the various functions that you can perform with RetroShare. So off the bat, you're going to see already a lot of rich diversity and functionality. This isn't just a blogging platform with one straight stream of posts. You need not use everything. You may only use one or two of these, but they've got different functionality. So first off really is Chatrooms. This was just a IRC-like single chronological stream. So it's just a stream of different posts by people replying to each other, and there's no threading, there's nothing in it really. It's just a stream, a bit like a Discord chat room, for example, that type of functionality. So you could create one of these for any purpose or join any of them. Obviously, again, you've got to connect through peers. Without connecting those peers, you're not going to see the various rooms. The other thing is mail. And this is really for sending messages via friends between nodes. So it'll work in offline mode. In other words, if you connected to 5 people, you send a mail to, say, an 8th person. You're offline. That mail has already been now just stored temporarily on your immediate friends' links. And whenever number 8 comes online and sees one of the other 2, they will receive the email and can reply to you. So in that way, this does work in an offline type of mode. Another very powerful feature for RetroShare is file sharing. So what you're going to find here is masses, depending again who you connect to, masses and masses of, whether it's TV shows, music, audio files, what people have created themselves, various other things. So that's going to be something quite interesting for many to explore. Then these next 3 are sort of related but slightly different. So to explain channels is actually for sharing of media, videos and other things you've got. So you would actually upload a video with a post, comments, etc., etc. That sort of, it's really suited towards media sharing. So whether it's audio or video clips or that type of thing, you'd use channels for that. Forums are threaded replies to topics, very much like PHP BB bulletin board. So this will be a forum which you could create, and within that forum you can have various topics running. And under each one, people can reply to each other as threaded replies. It's quite orderly. And that's another form of working. It's in contrast possibly to things like, say, chat rooms. So you'll see, obviously, these things have got different uses and applications depending on what you want to do. And the third of these 3 is boards. This is a Reddit type link sharing clone where you can, again, vote up or vote down a post. I use this quite a lot for my blogs. So you'll see I'm very active here. I'm sharing short excerpts with a title. I've linked to media. I'm not uploading or attaching media as such. And then various people can vote up or vote down, and you can sort and view them also by, what's most popular. The voice over IP functionality for audio calls and video calls, I haven't actually installed it, but you install it via a plugin. You'd have to just install the plugin, and then that functionality would be live. And then just something of interest, what is happening around, hopefully, version 0.6.7 is that we're looking at a Twitter type functionality called Wire. And I know there are 1 or 2 others that also use something called Wire, but there's that. Then Wiki, very much like a Wikipedia type functionality, as well as photo albums, which you'll be able to share then with friends or specific contacts and that sort of thing. And what's nice with photo albums, remember again, is because it's peer-to-peer, you can use up to 1 terabyte of space on your hard drive, and all that is used is if somebody browses or reads or views those photos. So you could save yourself a tremendous amount of money on not having to host commercially or at some third-party, online hosting site. So these are the type of advantages with peer-to-peer type networks. And out of all the peer-to-peer networks I've reviewed so far, RetroShare beats them all in terms of real functionality. I know there were rumors about, is it alive still? Is it going on? Well, it's been around since 2006. And I'll show you some of the activity in the devs forum or the devs chat. And you'll see it's every single day, 7 days a week. The guys are looking at issues, tweaking things, solving things, testing things. So there might not be regular releases, new releases, but there's a lot going on behind it. And then just something to note as well, quite interesting, a single post can be up to 200,000 characters. And that is whether it's in a channel, a forum, a board, or whatever the case is. I probably will much say that's more than enough, but just to give you sort of an idea there, I think. Let's just have a look then, I think, so long at the actual interface while I lead into that. This is obviously the screen that you're going to be landing on if you use it. This is 0.6.6 release candidate 2, and it's build 161. There's actually quite a few new ones since then. This has just been very stable for me, so this is the one I'm using. Just to mention about the nodes and the IDs and so on, you can see here, for example, is a good example. There's a node essentially, and these are different locations or IDs there within it. You can run this on multiple computers, and you can add them as additional locations, but don't add them as a new profile, because then you'll be creating a completely separate profile. So you can have locations. Some people actually, I think here, there, for example, is my computer. Others you'll see will mention mobile or something to that effect. So there is that facility. I can also just say there is an Android client that is being tested or retested again. That's sort of more an alpha version, I would say, at this stage. And there is at this stage no iOS or iPhone client available at the moment. So I think without further ado, let's sort of work our way through the interface a bit, and then I'll show you, what's what there. Along the bottom is a status bar. You can change your status, obviously. It shows at the moment that I'm connected to 3 out of 25 friends that I'm actually already authenticated with. There is just the NAT status for the router. This is for the distributed hash tables. I'm green on both counts because I've got port forwarding. But you might find that some of these do show a problem, like I said, if you haven't got your port forwarded and open. Then on the right hand side, you can just see what the network activity is up and downloading on the network. Now this has been running probably for 6-7 hours at the moment, and it's used about 61 megabytes of data in total. So it just gives you an idea. It's not terribly heavy, but remember, if somebody's viewing videos off your drive, or you downloading a terabyte of data from someone else, that's going to go up a little bit. This is quite a nice view, just to show you how the peer-to-peer works. I'm at the moment in the network view, and I'm on the network graph view. This is showing me over here, and these are all the people that I am directly connected to as friends at the moment. You'll see it's moving out over there. This person, for example, I'm not actually, probably I should be connected directly as well, because I've said here friendship level 1, which is everybody I'm connected to directly. But what's of interest is when you say to it friendship level 2, you'll see all the people you connect to indirectly through your peers, and that's the strength of the peer-to-peer network. So if I make this 2, you'll see obviously some of my friends are a lot more interconnected, say, maybe than others. I can zoom out a little bit. That gives you a better view now of all the other people in addition that I can sort of reach. And remember, them in turn, you'll see more and more and more people behind. It's just a nice little graph to actually have a look at. This is just a place where you can send a broadcast chat message to all your connected friends in one go. Don't abuse this though, because that's obviously going to get you unpopular. And you can add in emoticons, stickers, attach pictures, attach files, set font, that sort of thing. All the sort of the usual things. The key rings this is where you exchange your key rings with other people. And you can see you've got who you've trusted already. So very much the network is also about who you are trusting as a peer. And you can set up, you can sign somebody else's key if you know them. In this case, this person I don't know at all, and I haven't actually connected with them, but you'd set also your level of trust. So people that I know well and I've authenticated in real life, there are 1 or 2 and on other networks, I will put them between ultimate or full or marginal. Or you can say no trust over there. You can also view the PGP key, and you've got a couple of other options you can set over there. So that really is the network view. Let's have a look at the home view though. This is where you're going to copy your RetroShare ID and then copy and share it to your friends via other social networks or email or whatever the case. That is my ID over there. And I would click over here to say copy to clipboard, and you'd paste it in somewhere else or share it via email or whatever the case is. You'll see it says they use old certificate format. That's because I'm on 0.6.6. Anybody on 0.6.5 will be using old certificate formats. So try and use the new one. I think that's always the best way to go. So we've done network. We can move on to people. Here's a lot more detail around the friends that you have actually linked with already. And you'll see you can check identity, their node ID, node name. This is also where you can set, I don't know this person offhand, so I haven't set them as negative or positive. I am linked to them. So that's where you'll set up those settings. If you went down to people that you're not connected to, these are the people now, for example, under other that are connected to my peers, but I'm not connected to them. So, well, some of these are probably am connected to indirectly because I can see their status is present at the moment here. But you could send them an invite there and check, how they've been rated and so on, what circles they belong to, and so on as well. So that's pretty much that. This is the chats functionality or the chats view, and I was going to say to you, I'll show you the devs chat forum just to see how active it is. So during today there's been 50, or there's 54 that I haven't read probably. That's an indicator over there. That icon shows that there's unread messages. You can of course just right click, I think in the forum or somewhere you can click to say read all. But this is the discussion at the moment in the dev forum, and you'll see there's a lot of active discussion about their testing and what's going on, what's not working, and this is all today. So like I said, there's certainly a lot of activity going on with RetroShare. RetroShare is absolutely not idling in the background with nothing happening. It's just, like I said, you might not be seeing all that activity. If I wanted to reply here now, I could just reply in this chat forum, or I could double click over there and reply to a particular person as well. It shows you on the right here who's actually active in the chat room at the moment. You can browse. This is showing the new chats that have come up since I logged in today. But you can also, and by the way, that's what I said as well, you can create different IDs. I could use a different ID if I wanted to in this chat room. I don't have to use my main ID. You can browse the message chat history. Now this would be actually from the last couple of days or weeks or however long you've decided to keep your history. So this is history in this particular chat, going back a much further time. And you could also search here for bug, for example. Oops. What did I just do? Bug. And then you could find out where the word bug was maybe mentioned in the history. So it's just giving you an idea of how chats work. These chats, there's various other chat rooms here that I've now got access to because I've linked up to certain peers like Raspberry Pi, various others and so on as well. So if you wanted to, you'd right click and you could enter it, and then you'd subscribe to this chat, and it would appear at the top here as your subscribed chats as well. So it really chats pretty well much in a nutshell, I think. Mail, okay, I've got somebody that's sent me an invite, but this is how you'd see mail really. You've got an inbox, an outbox, draft, sent, trash, that sort of thing. Funny enough, what I don't really see is a means to save a mail in a particular folder or named folders that I haven't quite seen. I'm not sure that's the feature we're going to maybe get or need to request, but you can flag them and you can star messages, and at this stage you'd have to keep it, I don't know, in your inbox. I'm not sure. That's to me maybe a little bit of an issue there. But that's mail, and if you wanted to compose a new mail, you'd click over there, compose, and you could choose who you wanted to send it to, give it a subject, just like a normal mail. You've got all your formatting, attachments, pictures, etc., and then you could just say send. So like I said, pretty standard, I think, for most people. Right, here's the file sharing part. So again, it depends who you've hooked up to. So under my files, I've got 1.9 gigabytes of files shared. Don't get excited, these aren't movies or anything. What I've done is, there is a location on your hard drive where your files are located, and I've just got one or two of my own YouTube videos that I've already uploaded to YouTube, and I've made them available here for anybody to basically view and then download. I've saved a video about Mark Zuckerberg's "I'll never share your data" just in case it disappears off the internet, so I've made that available. And I've just got some PDF. I've got a PDF file here that I wanted to keep about RetroShare with more information about RetroShare. So that's available to anybody that browses my files. If I go to Friends Files, Niven ZA, for example, one of the things he's doing is he's sharing all the different the test builds of RetroShare, and those will be available to anybody that goes back here and wants to find the particular files that have been tested. 12.6 gigabytes of file. You're not going to be sharing that on a commercial platform. He's got a couple of other downloads and movies and things. There's music from YouTube. I think 1 or 2 people have got books as well, and there's various other things there, so I'm not going to go into too much more detail. I think most people know what file sharing is, but all I'm saying is, again, it depends who you've connected to, and you'll be able to take the file, and you could download it to your drive. You can also copy a RetroShare link as a matter of interest to the clipboard for anything. Actually, I'll show you in 1 or 2 other examples in chats and other things. Anything you copy as a RetroShare link, you can share to somebody else, and if they click on it, they're going to be able to instantly jump to whatever that thing is within RetroShare. One thing I can just say though, is a tip for you, is there isn't actually an easy place to paste your links, funnily enough, for some reason. There isn't a logical place to go and say, okay, there, paste it, and then it'll open. So what I did is, under chats, I created for myself a private chat room, and I just called it link paste room. And what I do is, if I've got a link that I've got from somebody else, I come in over here, I paste the link over there, and then once it's there, I can just click on it. For example, like here's a good example. There's a link that I've already used previously. If I click on there, it's going to basically bring up whatever that was actually for. That takes you instantly to this forum, for example. That was a link that was shared. So that's just a tip for you on where to go paste your links and make use of them. So the next one is, let's go to channels. Channels, I'm running here just a couple of my YouTube and other things that I've shared, or videos should I say, that I shared for my drive. So it gives you an idea. First of all, that would be your channel detail, just a bit of information about the channel and where people would go to subscribe to the channel. That would be the posts that I've made, and you can see if you click on XMPP, for example, it gives you the whole story that does appear on YouTube. I think that's the download. You can download the video if you want to. There is the actual MP4 file. You can play it from here as well if you want to. And if anybody had left comments for you, if you want to leave comments, that's where you'd go to for comments. Again, remember, you can change your identity as well when you're interacting with it. The views you can vary over here as well. So here you've got sort of more a list view, same options below, or you can switch it back to the sort of more iconized view as well. So that is my channel, but you'll see there are other channels here. For example, we've got one for Scuttlebutt where they've put a few files as well, Miniverse downloads, that sort of thing. So this one, for example, has got comments, and you can see there's a whole lot of comments over here, and they are threaded comments. So you can see you can thread replies as well. So quite versatile and functional. There's a couple of other popular channels which I could subscribe to then if I wanted to. You can see there, I can just right click and say subscribe. That's where I go to create a new channel. I can show details if I want to about the channel. And there's numerous other channels obviously that I can also access via my peers. So that's channels. Forums. These were the threaded discussion forums I've mentioned earlier. So you could see, for example, this is also indicating a popularity, when it was last updated, You can search for a title. This is where, for example, you'll find the RetroShare key exchanges that people have posted on the website. They'll pop up, I think, normally over here, or you can just post over there as well. And that's where you can actually link up with. You just click over there and you would accept or make that person a friend peer. But you can see here under developers discussions, whereas we had the long chronological chat over there, here we've got them discussing certain topics as well. For example, new ideas for 0.6.7. There you can see the post, and these were various replies to that post. Again, I can also reply. I can start a new thread. There again, I can copy this link, paste it or share it to anybody, and they will instantly be taken to this discussion thread where they can also participate. You can see you can give reputation to the author, or you can get information about the author and friend them and so on as well. And if you wanted to create a new thread, you'd click there. Again, you can choose which ID you're going to use, text, and give it various other information as well. So that really is forums. I think you could right click here, obviously unsubscribe. You can mark all as red as well over there. It's also got views. So here we've got a thread. We are seeing the threaded view, but if you want to see the latest post in a thread, you could also click this and it'll bring the latest, anything that's got the latest update or reply in it to the top. And then there's also a flat list view. So you've got a couple of different views you can show as well. I prefer the threaded view mostly. Then we can move along to boards. So boards is actually where I'm running my main blog, and this is the one where I said it's like a Reddit type clone. You'll see for each post that I've made, you can vote it up or vote it down. Some have got some votes already, I see here, depending on who's been reading my posts. Another thing just to show here is these are indicated as new posts from today. So obviously once I've cleared that in my activity feed or I've read it like this, it will leave its new status. It's just highlighting for you, you know, that there are new posts here available. Again, you can unsubscribe, show details about this particular board. There's the detailed view. And you can also see how many people have subscribed. So I've got 2 subscribers at the moment to my board. There is one little problem here. There are comments, but it's not popping up in the activity to alert you to them. So this is a little bit of a problem. It's got to be fixed still. I have actually put the request in. There, for example, is a comment that's been left on this particular one. So if you click on comment for this post, it'll open a tab over here. And you can see, has anybody got a RS link for that movie? Thanks. Well, I'll reply just now. There is actually a link for it. It's actually on, the whole movie is on YouTube. So I'll come back to that one. That's obviously where you're going to create a new post. And you can give it a title, you can give it text, you can do all the formatting and other features that you need there for the text. You can add a picture to it. That's how mine has got these little pictures on the left over here. You can give it a link as well, and you'll basically just say post, and you'll see there it remains 198,000 characters. Do you want to discard? Yes. Yes, I do. So that really is the boards, and I must say I quite enjoy this format. It's quite interesting to use. There's a couple of others as well. And you depend, like I said, depending on who you've linked up with, you can subscribe to these or unsubscribe. Before we move off board view, you can just expand it to compact and more complete views. So you'll see now you've got a more complete view that you're probably used to seeing on Reddit. But the problem again is it's not so easy to browse. So I tend to sort of keep it on the compact view. It's a little bit easier. A nice thing here is because these things are voted up or down, you can also change the sort order. Obviously it's showing new at the moment, but you can go to top or hot. And top will show you the ones that have got the most upvotes again. So that's quite handy as well. So let's have a look at activity. Activity is the place you're going to go to see really what has happened. These are alerts that you can set under preferences. And for example, here it's saying in the forum feed RetroShare key exchanges, there was somebody that posted under that subject. You can expand it a bit further to get a little bit more detail. If you click over there, it's going to take you directly to that post there in the forum. Or you can say to it, set it as read and remove the item. So those I can mark. There's also a remove, but it won't be set as read. So I'm just going to say remove. And you should also see here's an invite message, so I'll keep that one because I'm going to reply to him just now. Here were the posts that I made already, so it's alerted me to show that these posts were up, and I can see there's a comment. So let me just set these other ones as read. You can also say remove all in one go. You know, if you've scrolled down already and you're happy that you've read whatever activity stream was that you needed to read. So yeah, that's pretty much the activity stream, what it looks like. Let's go to preferences. This is really the last part I'm going to cover. So you've got your general settings, starting it up, minimized. Don't show the prompt to quit. Minimize it instead to tray to icon, and what your idle time is before your status changes at the bottom. So those are settings you can change there. Then you've got your node settings. This is just detailed information about your own node and your certificates and your paths and so on as well. But what is quite interesting is for those nerds that love stats, you can go and have a look at stats or statistics around your actual node's performance and connectivity and peering. So it'll show you here who you're currently actually connected to, which nodes. It gives you an idea of the traffic, also in color to show you which nodes you're exchanging how much traffic with, and you can obviously change the format, the legend, the log scale, and various other things there. I'm not going to go into explaining all of these because, to be quite honest, I don't know myself all the terminology here. But you've got the turtle router status, and this is often showing you, as I understand it, it's showing how consistent your connectivity and your throughput is via these particular nodes. So obviously this third node, I've got probably a better quality throughput at the moment versus maybe the other nodes I'm connected to. You've got transfer tunnels, authenticated tunnels. There's the GXX sync tunnels as well. You can look at the identities over a period of time and discoverability. You can see status of global routing, the GXS transport status as well. This is just showing what's queued up and what hasn't gone through. I did have a couple before. I see they've cleared already. Sometimes it's waiting for peers to come online before it can send information or maybe email or other things. Then there's also RTT stats. And lastly, distributed hash table stats as well, showing what peers those are the 26 that I'm connected to but not currently connected to. And if there's any relaying going on as well, then that will also show you that information. The DHT graph, as I understand it, these numbers is the potential number of distributed hash table users that are known about or that I potentially know about. So that is not 723 users in total on RetroShare. It's just, I think, what I can reach at this stage. So yeah, that's basically the stats. Then on the network side, this is your network settings that you're going to be setting. Yeah, these previous IPs are already gone, but these were IPs that I would have maybe made use of in the past. You'll see also I've allowed it to use certain dynamic DNS services. That is because your IP address is changing periodically at your home or wherever you're connecting, or your Raspberry Pi, or whatever the case is. And this service will just allow other peers to find your latest IP address and reconnect. You could obviously disable this if you're going to relay through other users that you're known, but to a certain extent, that is always going to be a problem with a peer-to-peer network. It's got to be able to find the peer IPs as they change. So yeah, that's an issue. You can set your limitations here on your network, amount of network traffic. It's just got my local IP LAN address. So there's a lot of information you've got here. I've got manually forwarded port on my router at the moment. You can use PHP, or you can say you're firewalled. So it means that I have set this port as forwarding on my router, but you could change this port as well to a different port if you want to obscure it a little bit more. And you'll see I've got green status there at the moment as well, which means they're working fine. These are some additional options you could set up, like I mentioned before, for Tor or for I2P as well. You've got IP filters you can set. You've got relays you can make use of. You can activate relays here as well and change your settings as well. So this is your default settings for people, where you would say whether you want person to appear as neutral, or do you want to use positive to start off with, and so on. These are some of the chat settings. As we saw over here in chats, you can set certain of your things like text contrast, various other settings you want to have here, the fonts, what you want to enable, the chat room settings, private chat settings, and how much history you want to retain and keep for when you boot up new sessions as well. Then they've got various mail settings that you can set as well for the mail side. This is for the file sharing side, where you can set where your download directory is going to be on your machine. You can look at transfer options as well that can be set. You can tweak and tune here. This is for channels. Not very many, but there's a couple of options you can set. Then for forums over here, you've got these settings. Boards, a couple of settings. And this is the notify settings that will appear in this activity tab over here. So you could switch on or off whether you want to know every time a friend is connected, or a circle, or whatever the case is. I've got most of them on. And these are for the toaster pop-ups, the notifications, which ones you want to appear as toasters, and which ones you want to appear on your system tray of the OS itself. Then this is where you would set your plugins, or you'd install your plugins. This is where the directories it'll be looking for. Appearances, you could experiment a bit. I've had to play quite dramatically with this, because what I found on Linux is that my Linux theme for the operating system was quite dramatically affecting the theme in RetroShare. So I've settled in the meantime on, and it looks a little bit bland maybe, but I've settled on Breeze, which is the Linux theme I'm currently using, and I'm just using standard built-in. But you can change it, you'll see now, to these other settings. The problem I had with some of these settings was the contrasts, especially some things that were yellow on black and certain things were not reading very well. So I decided to stick with, this is quite nice. I quite enjoy this one, and these other dark styles were very nice as well. But there were just one or two places where I couldn't read something properly. So in the end, I decided not to use these other themes. There's the Q dark style, silver gray. So let me just go back to built-in. Got a lot of different languages you can set as well, so it's got that facility. But like I said, your mileage is going to vary on the themes. That's something you must just play around a bit with. Yeah, just various other styles, and this is the status bar, but you can see at the bottom you can decide what you want on, what you want off, and so on. Some sound settings as well for alerts. These are permissions, the permissions screen. These are the ones people you're currently connected to, and you could individually enable or disable some of the various services for each person. So you've got a tremendous amount of tweakability here that you can use as well. This was for JSON API. This was obviously for interfacing from other third-party applications or import exports. You can see you've got ports here and so on as well. I can just mention there is actually a web view. There's a way of starting up your RetroShare so that RetroShare will run in the background, but instead of it being a dedicated native app like this is showing up now on my Linux desktop, you would actually open a browser link with your computer, and I can't remember if it was this address actually, but it's one of the ports that you use, and you'd get a web view within your browser tab. I understand there's some issues at the moment that's not working 100% right, and it's probably also with the new version that's busy coming out, so that's really experimental at this stage. I wouldn't say you want to use that necessarily. And then there's just confirmation again of exactly what RetroShare version I'm using and which version of Qt on Linux I'm running for diagnostics and so on. And yeah, that is pretty well much then RetroShare actually in a very big nutshell. So I hope you found that interesting. It's certainly a network if you want to do a whole bunch of different things and so on. If you want to have a really private area also to hang out with your 10 or 5 friends or whatever the case, it is perfect for that sort of thing. You're only going to see who you're connecting to. So again, if you're only connecting to 5 friends that you know, that's all you're going to see. You know, it's up to you how wide and how big you want to really go with it. It's definitely got a slightly different approach to Ether and to Secure Scuttlebutt, where they're very much more blogging and just chat room networks. I think you've got a lot of versatility here, but it may be a little bit quieter because in Ether and as well as Secure Scuttlebutt, because there's a lot of, it's based very much around centralized or virtualized, should I say, rooms, you tend to quite quickly find people with a lot of similar interests. RetroShare may be slightly different, that you're exploring and finding people could be of paramount importance so that you can get to those rooms and then, you know, meet people and so on as well. But yeah, the idea of the video really was just to give a taste of what RetroShare could do and show you some of the functionality. And yeah, I hope some of you end up playing around with it a little bit and you found that of some interest. And yeah, that's basically it. You guys must all stay well out there, and I'll see you in my next video.